course empowers you to access information and communicate with your teams more efficiently using Copilot. First, discover Microsoft 365 Chat, a powerful chatbot that leverages large language models and Microsoft Graph to generate intelligent responses grounded in your organization's data. Next, find out how to use Copilot in Outlook to summarize complex email threads, draft responses, and suggest improvements. Learn how Copilot for Teams gives you actionable insights from chats and meetings, helping you stay updated on key points. Finally, explore how Copilot integrates with OneNote and Excel to effortlessly extract insights from your notes and from your data. Copilot is your AI-powered assistant available throughout the Microsoft 365 suite. To get started with Copilot, make sure you have a Microsoft 365 Business Standard, Premium, or Enterprise subscription, and a Copilot license from your organization. If you do, you can access Copilot in the form of Microsoft 365 Chat, which integrates with your data for personalized assistance. There are several ways to access it. One is via Bing. So I'm on the Edge browser's default homepage, and from here I can click the Copilot icon next to the Bing search bar to launch the free web version of Copilot in a new tab. This is formerly Bing Chat. Find the toggles marked Work and Web and select Work to access the paid professional Microsoft 365 Chat or Copilot in the new tab. I'm already signed into my Microsoft account. If you're not, you'll be prompted to do so. Now let's close this browser tab. We can also access Copilot from the Microsoft 365 web portal. So I'm going to click the shortcut on my Edge homepage to access the web portal. This is Microsoft365.com or Office.com. Then I'll select Copilot in the left-hand navigation to open the chat again, this time in the Active tab. If you're using the Edge browser like I am, you can also click the Copilot icon in the top right corner of the window, and this will open the chat in a side pane. Again, you'll need to make sure the Work toggle is selected for the paid version of Copilot. Now let's close this side pane. Finally, you can find Microsoft 365 Chat on Teams for web or desktop. From the Microsoft 365 web portal, I'll go over to the left-hand navigation and click the App Launcher, then select Teams from the pane. Teams opens in a new tab. If you're using the new Teams like I am, you'll find Copilot in the Chat pane. Click here to open Microsoft 365 Chat. If you've got the classic version, you may need to click on View More Apps in the app bar and search for it. In addition to Microsoft 365 Chat, there are also separate Copilot tools integrated into each of the core Microsoft apps in both the web and desktop versions. Let's explore in one of the desktop apps. I'll go down to my taskbar and open PowerPoint. Next, I'll select a new blank presentation, and here we'll find the Copilot command in the Home tab. Click there to open Copilot in the chat pane on the right. Now let's close this pane. If Copilot is not visible in your desktop apps, you can go to the File tab, select Account in the left-hand navigation, then select Update License. This will prompt you to sign in to verify your subscription. Since I've already got Copilot, I'll close this sign-in window. Now, after updating your license, you'll just need to restart the desktop app and Copilot should become available. Finally, regularly updating your Microsoft apps ensures you have the latest Copilot features. From the account page, you can click on Update Options, and then you'll see the options to Update Now and View Updates. But let's click again to hide these options. And now you're ready to use Copilot across the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Microsoft 365 Chat harnesses the power of large language models and grounding in data on Microsoft Graph to deliver personalized answers to your questions. Today, I'm using Microsoft 365 Chat on the Microsoft 365 web portal. Let's explore how to use it for general inquiries, organization-specific information, and web content. Copilot's large language models, or LLMs, are trained to understand and respond to a wide range of topics. To ask a question, you can select one of the available suggested prompts, or select View Prompts above the Compose box to see even more prompts in the Copilot Lab window. But I'll close this window and instead enter my own prompt by clicking inside the Compose box and entering a general question. What is a smart home? Select the Send button to submit the prompt, and Copilot will provide an answer using its LLMs as a knowledge base. Below the reply, you'll see an option to copy it in case you want to use the answer in an email or a document. You'll also see suggestions of follow-up questions. For example, I'll select How can I make my home a smart home? And Copilot again comes up with a general reply based on its LLMs. However, Copilot's true strength lies in integrating with your Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft 365 Chat can communicate with OneDrive, SharePoint, and Microsoft Graph to access files, messages, emails, and other data from your organization. It uses this data as grounding to come up with answers most relevant to you. Of course, it only accesses data that you yourself have permission to access. To see kinds of information you can reference, select the Compose box and type a slash. Now you'll see an overlay with tabs including All, People, Files, Meetings, and Emails. I'd like to see what one of my colleagues has said on the subject of smart homes, so I'll select the People tab. Then I'll select my colleague Mike Jones from the list of suggestions. Let's edit the message to say, what has Mike Jones said about smart homes? After I press Enter to submit the prompt, Copilot combs through my communications with Mike, and I can see it's pulled out an old email where Mike mentions this topic and summarizes that email. If I want to actually see the source email, I can hover over the superscripted number to view a citation and click on the link inside that citation to open the email in a new tab in Outlook. Now I'll close the tab and return to the chat. Let's ask another follow-up question. From the suggestions, I'll select Tell me more about Hamotic, which is a company mentioned in the email. Copilot gets all the information it needs from Microsoft Graph to answer this question. I'll expand the reference section at the bottom of this chat and scroll down. And here I can see the Word document that was referenced for the answer. Of course, if I wanted to, I could click on this document to open it. But let's move on instead to a web search. In addition to its LLMs and Microsoft Graph, Copilot can access information from the internet, but you'll need to give it permission first. To allow Copilot web access, click the Plugins button and enable the Web Content toggle. Now in the Compose box, I'll ask Copilot to give me the latest on home automation technology from the web. This time, when I click Send, Copilot generates a succinct summary of its web search on the topic. Again, the answer includes citations, which we can hover over to see references, Or again, we can click to expand the references section at the bottom and scroll down to see links to the websites it's used as sources. Now you've seen how to leverage Microsoft 365 Chat to get information and search more productively. With Microsoft 365 Chat, you can start a separate AI chat for whatever topic you're exploring. In this video, we'll discover how to start a new chat, switch to older chats, and manage your chat history. It's important to be aware that Copilot remembers what you've said within the active chat, and it will use previous questions and answers for context. I've got an ongoing conversation open in Microsoft 365 Chat in the Microsoft 365 web portal. In the Compose box, let's ask, summarize this chat. Press Enter to submit the prompt, and notice how Copilot gives a response based on the current chat's history. Notice too that the answer is numbered, in this case 5 out of 30, as you're limited to 30 answers per chat. So starting a new chat also lets you keep talking when you've neared the limit. So let's select New Chat. Now a new chat opens with some suggested prompts. I'll select one of the suggestions, list ideas for a fun remote team building event, and press Enter to submit it. Copilot generates a response, and notice that the answer number starts over again at 1. When you start a new chat, your old chats aren't lost. Copilot saves your chat sessions, so you can review or extend previous topics. When using chat in the Microsoft 365 web portal, your chat history will appear by default in the right-hand pane. You can click the X to close the pane, but if you want to bring up your chat history again, click the three dots icon and select Copilot Chats from the menu options. I'll select an older chat from the list to dive back in. I'll again select the Compose box and enter a new query. Summarize what we've discussed. Press Enter, and Copilot generates a concise but detailed summary of the current conversation, continuing where we left off. Keeping your chats organized is simple with a few quick actions. To rename a chat for better clarity, hover over it, click the three dots, and select Edit. In the Rename Chat dialog, delete the default title and type in a new name, for example, Smart Homes. Then click Save. Now my chat has been renamed. If you need to declutter, deleting a chat is just as easy. Again, hover over the chat you want to delete, click the three dots, and choose Delete. A notification opens letting us know that deleting the chat is permanent, but any content such as files or emails referenced in the chat will not be deleted. Click Delete again to confirm, and now you've seen how to manage your chats in Copilot. Copilot in Outlook makes email management simple. From summarizing threads to crafting messages with AI, let's see what Copilot in Outlook can do. First, you can use Copilot with the Outlook web app or desktop app, but it only works with the new version, not the classic Outlook. So I've got my inbox open in the new Outlook for desktop. I've already selected a message in my inbox, and the conversation thread displays in the reading pane. Now, it looks like there are a lot of messages in this thread, and I don't have time to read them all, so I can click Summary by Copilot at the top of the thread to show a concise recap of all of the messages in the conversation, with the names of senders in bold. Now that I'm caught up, I'll click the X to dismiss the summary, and I'll click Reply All at the top of the most recent message in the thread. Since I'm short on time, I can use one of the suggested replies at the bottom of the Compose box in the Draft with Copilot section, or select Custom to enter a personalized prompt. I can't make the meeting that's being discussed in this thread, so I'll select the suggestion Need to Reschedule. Just like that, Copilot generates a message asking the others to reschedule the meeting. If there's details you'd like to change or amend, you can click inside the Compose box labeled Anything You'd Like to Change and enter a prompt. For example, add an apology, then click the send arrow. Copilot regenerates a new response, adding an apology. We can select the left and right navigation arrows above the message to toggle through Copilot's different responses. And below the response, if I scroll down, you'll see options to discard or regenerate it. If you like what Copilot's come up with, select Keep It. Now I can manually edit this message, or if I'd like to send it as is, hit the Send button. In the Home tab, I'll click New Mail to open a fresh message. I'll add a recipient, Mike Jones, and the subject, Lunch Meeting. Then select the Email Compose box. To begin drafting with Copilot, type a slash, and in the overlay menu that opens, select Draft with Copilot. In the Draft with Copilot Compose box, I'll enter a prompt. Write an email to invite Mike to a lunch meeting about the new marketing strategy. Before I hit Generate, I can click the Generation Options button to set the tone, for example, direct, neutral, casual, or formal, and length, short, medium, or long. Let's select Casual and keep the length short. Now I'll click Generate to see what Copilot comes up with. I'll scroll down to get a better look at this response. And since it's a longer response, I can actually scroll down within the answer itself to see it in its entirety. Once again, I can add anything I'd like to change, discard, or regenerate the response. Since I'm happy with it, I'll click Keep It. Before sending a message, you can use Coaching by Copilot to see suggestions for improvement. Let's see what Copilot says about the message that it's generated. To access coaching, go up to the Message tab in the ribbon, select Copilot, and in addition to the Draft with Copilot option, you'll find Coaching by Copilot. Select this option, and an overlay will pop up with a brief analysis of the message and some suggestions. Let's scroll down to see the analysis. We can select the tabs on the left to navigate between an analysis of tone, for example, could be more formal, reader sentiment, sounds enthusiastic and inviting, and clarity. Try adding more details. In all of these analyses, we've got a brief summary of the issue, as well as specific suggestions for improvement. We can select Regenerate to see a new analysis, or click the X to close the coaching pop-up. Now you've seen how Copilot can streamline email in Outlook. With Copilot for Microsoft Teams, you can gain valuable insights and see AI-powered summaries for your chats, channels, and meetings. First, Copilot can keep you up to date in your channel communications. I've got the new Teams desktop app open to the general channel of one of my teams. In this channel, there's a post thread that I'd like to catch up on. I'll click the link above the recent replies to view all replies in the thread, and select the Copilot icon in the top right corner to open the Copilot pane. Copilot can answer any questions that I might have about this thread. For a quick summary, I'll select the suggested prompt, highlights from this conversation, and Copilot responds with key takeaways from the thread. You'll notice there are citations in the form of superscripted numbers, and I can click on these to highlight the corresponding messages. Copilot can also help you make sense of your conversations. Within a chat, Copilot can analyze messages from the past 30 days. I'll go over to the left-hand app bar and select Chat. Then in the chat pane, select one of my conversations. Again, I'll click the Copilot icon in the top right corner to open the Copilot pane. And here I can see a suggested prompt, highlights from the past 7 days. I'll click More Prompts below the Compose box to see additional suggestions. For example, highlights from the past 30 days, or what decisions were made. I'll select what decisions were made and scroll up to see Copilot's response. Notice there's a copy button in case I want to paste this answer into my notes. And again, there are citation numbers in the answer, which I can click to jump to the relevant message. Copilot is also invaluable for meetings, whether they're planned, ongoing, or they've already happened. For help with meeting prep, I'll select the Copilot icon in the chat pane to open Microsoft 365 Chat. Now, selecting the Compose box, I'll type, "Help me prepare for my next meeting." Then press Enter to submit. And now Copilot's pieced together some information about the meeting, including the time and the people I'll be meeting with. Again, there is a copy button in case I want to add this to my notes. Next, I'll select the chat for a past meeting because I'd like to review what was discussed. Note that meetings must be transcribed for Copilot to work unless your company's IT admin have set it to use without transcript. I'll select the Recap tab at the top of these meeting details, then click Copilot to again open the Copilot pane on the right. And again, I'll select More Prompts to see some suggestions. Here we can recap the meeting, list action items, suggest follow-up questions, and gain all sorts of other insights. I'll select what questions are unresolved to see some loose ends from the meeting. Scrolling up through Copilot's response, I can see that it's not only highlighted unresolved questions from the meeting, but it's also given context and suggested solutions for each one. Lastly, even if a meeting's still ongoing, you can use Copilot to follow along. In the chat pane, I'll switch over to the chat for an ongoing meeting and click the Join button to enter the lobby. I'll turn off my microphone and select Join Now to enter the meeting. Again, I will click the Copilot icon, and since I'm a bit late, in the Copilot Compose box, I'll ask, "What have I missed in this meeting so far?" When I submit the prompt, Copilot generates an answer based on the meeting transcript. I can even hover over citation numbers in the response to see the bits of the transcript that Copilot has highlighted and referenced. Now you've seen how Copilot can help with chats and meetings in Teams. When you take lots of notes, it can be hard to find the information you're looking for. Copilot makes it easier by summarizing dense text and answering questions about whole sections of your notes in OneNote. You can also use it to help you quickly jot down ideas. So let's dive in. First, Copilot can summarize text with a click of the mouse. Here in my OneNote, I'll simply select the text that I want to summarize, in my case, a whole page of notes, and I'll right-click, then select Summarize in the context menu. Watch how Copilot quickly provides a clear, concise overview just above the original text. Below, you'll find options to keep it or discard the summary. I'll go ahead and keep it. For deeper insights, Copilot can tackle specific questions about your note content. What's more, Copilot can not only generate responses about the selected note, but it can also answer your question about the entire active section. In my case, a note section called Strategic Initiatives. I'll click away to deselect the summary. Now go up to the ribbon and click the Home tab, then select Copilot. At the top of the pane are some ideas for prompt starters to choose from, like summarize, draft a to-do list, and list pros and cons. You also have the option to dictate your prompt by selecting the microphone icon in the Compose box. Instead, I'll enter a question. What are our top priorities for Q1? I'll press Enter to submit the prompt, and scroll up to see Copilot's response. It's found detailed answers in my notes, which it's organized in a numbered list, and it's even provided a citation. I can hover over a citation number to see a link to a relevant selection of my notes and some context. And I can click on the link to jump to the relevant notes page with the selection highlighted. Again, I'll click away to deselect the text. You can also use Copilot to generate all kinds of content in the chat pane. Click View Prompt to see ideas grouped by category. Create, understand, edit, and ask. Or enter a custom prompt. I'd like to extract action items from the current page of notes, so I'll click inside the Compose box and enter a custom prompt. List action items for this page. Again, press Enter, and scroll up to see a detailed list of action items, again with citation numbers. Scrolling down, at the bottom of the response, I'll even find an option to copy. I'll select this, position my cursor inside the notes page, and use Ctrl-V to paste in this numbered list. Now you've seen how Copilot can help you find information and streamline note-taking in OneNote. Copilot for Excel acts as your AI-powered data analyst. In this video, you'll learn how to use Copilot to get data insights, organize your data, and even add calculated columns. I've got an Excel worksheet open with sales data across different quarters, regions, and products. To work with Copilot, you'll need to make sure your data is saved on OneDrive or SharePoint, which is the case for my workbook. And next, you'll need to format it as a table, which Copilot can do for you. Just select Copilot from the Home tab to open the Copilot pane. I'll drag the left border to enlarge the pane. And in the pane, I can see that Copilot suggests converting range A1 to H49 into a table. I'll select the Convert button, and it formats my data accordingly. For general insights, select the suggested prompt, Show Data Insights. Copilot takes a moment to analyze my data, and now it's generated some insights. One of them is in paragraph form. It's showing me the average number of returns by product ID for each of my entries. And I can scroll up to see more insights. In this case, it includes a pivot chart showing returns by product ID. I'll scroll down and select Add to a new sheet to insert this chart into a new sheet in my workbook. Then switch back to Sheet 1. Note that whenever Copilot performs an action, you'll also see an Undo button below the response. Below the response, we also have suggested prompts to see another insight and add all insights to grid. I'll select Add All Insights to Grid, and this inserts a new sheet containing all data insights in the form of pivot charts. For example, I can scroll down to see returns by product ID, frequency of units sold, a scatter plot of correlations between different categories in my column, and the pivot table sources for all charts. Again, I'll switch back to Sheet 1. And I'd like to now improve the presentation of this data. In the Compose box in the Copilot pane, I'll select the Prompt Guide button. In the menu that opens, we've got options like Add a Formula column, Highlight data, Sort and filter data, and Analyze this data. I'll select Highlight data. This inserts the prompt starter, highlight, and I'll complete the prompt. Highlight all entries with more than 1,000 units sold. Press Enter to submit it, and Copilot now applies conditional formatting to apply a yellow fill to corresponding cells. Next, I'll sort this data. I'll ask Copilot to sort the data by sales price. When I submit the prompt, it sorts the data entries in ascending order on the sales price column. It can apply filters as well. I'll ask it to filter the table to show figures for smart thermostat only, and it applies a filter to the category column. I'll scroll up to see the summary of this change and click Undo to remove the filter. Finally, you can actually build on the table by adding a calculated column. Excel will come up with a formula so you don't have to. I'll click in the Compose box and ask Copilot to add a revenue column, taking into account units sold, sales price, and manufacturing cost. I'll submit the prompt by clicking the Send button. And when Copilot has formulated its response, I'll scroll up to see its suggestion. It gives a short text summary of the suggestion. It wants to add a column that calculates the revenue for each product by multiplying the units sold by the sales price and subtracting the product of the unit sold and the manufacturing cost. I can scroll down further to see the actual formula that would be used, with an option to copy the formula. Scrolling down some more, we can click Explain Formula to expand a more detailed explanation. And finally, select Insert Column to add that new column to the table. I'll close the Copilot chat pane. And now you've seen how to use Copilot to get data insights in Excel.